Okay, we're preparing to live stream. And I believe that we are live. So welcome everybody. I am so excited and honored to have all of you here with us today. My name is Lisa Casenti, and I have a background in biology and special education. So I have a bachelor's in biology and a master's in special education. And my career has shifted so much due to being diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. And basically what happened is I am now an entrepreneur. As I was searching for the pieces to the health puzzle while I was going through my own health journey, I came up on a remarkable health and science breakthrough that not only did it help me to restore my own health, but it gave me my father back after he suffered a major neurological event that left him without 90% of his cerebellum. So now, because of what it has done for my father, now what I do is I bring this to the world. I build teams to transform lives by restoring hope, health, and happiness. And as part of what I love to do as an entrepreneur is when I meet incredible entrepreneurs out there that have beautiful messages, one of the ways that I love to help is to bring them on and interview them so that their message can be shared with many. And today I am so honored and thrilled to bring in our guest, which I'm going to ask her to please come on right now as I introduce her. So she's going to come on camera. So I am proud and honored to introduce everyone here to Nafisah NK. Nafisah is a freedom and purpose coach. And what she does is she helps to empower people to find freedom and purpose through trauma recovery. Nafisah and I met months ago at a course that we were both taking, and she resonated with me right away. And we have been in touch ever since. And I so much value any time that I share with her. So Nafisah, thank you so much for being here. Can you please introduce yourself and tell everyone where you're calling in from?
Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. I'm truly excited here. You know, before coming on here, I had to take some deep breaths, because thank you. It's a pleasure being here, honestly. I remember when we met in that class that we had, and we connected immediately, and we have gotten to know each other, more and more. And it's no rush, it's just a process. And this is what I love, actually, even about my work, is seeing that aspect of process, coming to that place of abundance, that abundance mindset, just knowing that everything is a process. So including relationships with people such as you, because you have a beautiful soul. So thank you so much for having me. I don't want to go, I don't want to trail off.
Oh, Nafisah, you are lovely. I believe that it is a gift that we were brought together. I believe that the work that you do is very, very impactful. And especially from you've heard some of my stories, so you know some of the things that have happened in my life that have deeply affected me and have been traumatic. So the work that you do is beautiful, and I think it's so important to share with the world. And before we begin, I just want to ask if both of us, if we can put out there in this universe, you talked about the mindset of abundance. Let's put out there in the universe that today we are going to connect with people that are meant to hear your message, your story, your purpose. And may they find you, whether it's being live on Facebook right now, or whether it's that a friend passes this recording on, because this recording is going to be, I know that it is going to be passed on to many people to help them. So may your message be heard by the ones who need to hear it, and may they connect with you.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's just beautiful what you do. I told you this, that I believe that we are all looking for our gifts and our superpowers, and I believe you have found it, just the ability to connect people. And what better way to up level your life than to connect people to people who need it. You don't even know who is going to come across this, but you just believe, deep down inside that there is someone out there that needs it. And it's that mindset for me as well. Whenever I show up online, whenever I show up with a message, I just believe that it's not for everybody, but then that one person who gets to be affected positively by it, this is what matters. And if it's more than one, then it's a blessing as well. Yeah, so thank you so much for that.
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome. And we'll get started. And I have to remember, I shared with you that I am not fantastic with tech. So I will be jumping back and forth to see comments from the audience. And I have to tell you, I am so happy that Jennifer Taylor is here with us, and she's watching.
Hi, Jennifer.
Jennifer, we are so honored to have you here with us. So Nafisah, tell us where you're coming in from. I'm not sure if we talked about that.
No.
And also talk about, I know that your work is so broad and so impactful, but if you can just give people a little bit of a summary of what it is that you do, and then we'll go into your journey. Okay,
right.
That's okay.
Okay, so I'm tuning in from Bristol in United Kingdom, and Bristol is in the south of United Kingdom. And if you don't know Bristol, just think about London, and 2 hours away from London, 2 hours to the south of London is Bristol. Or if you think 1 or 2 hours to the south of Bristol is Scotland and Wales. Yeah, this is how I describe it. Yeah, so what I do is I am a freedom and purpose coach. I have a background in medicine as well as public health, and I also have some experience with cognitive behavioral therapy. So I add up all of this professional experiences to my work of life coaching. And the reason I came into life coaching was that all of my life I've been looking to understand the root of the problem. I remember when I used to go for my internship in the hospitals, I would be depressed. Why? Because I saw a lot of people suffering from illnesses that were not really illnesses. Their bodies were just showing the illnesses, but there was much more to that. So it depressed me because yes, medicine is important, the drugs, they're important, but then what is the root of the problem that keeps them coming back? And again, I noticed this, that whenever they went to the hospital, whenever a patient calls a doctor, for example, the first thing they're looking for is that emotional attention. They're looking for some kind of recognition and acceptance and acknowledgement of whatever they're going through. And if they don't get that, they go home, feeling like there's something left out. So I started to look towards the root of the problem, and perhaps this is what led me here. After the breakdown of my marriage, actually just before, I started to see this similar experiences in society when it comes to trauma. I started to see so many traumatized souls walking on the street with feeling numb and the inability to figure out what the problem is. And you find a lot of people, especially in their adolescent ages, they fall into addictions to substances, to activities, to even people. That's why we have love addiction. And I believe this was a similar thing I experienced for myself, and a lot more, other women in our societies, they fall into that love addiction because there is something missing inside, and we start to attract these people that are all about, sapping your energy and all of, but you just sense that there is something you would need, that attachment, and they use that against you. That's where the abuse comes in. So I'm all about helping women step into their power, whether they're married, whether they're in a relationship, but it's all about building up yourself, changing your story from that place of feeling broken to a place where you know that you are healing and you are whole and you are deserving of everything beautiful and you are worthy of love. So this is what I picture when it comes to stepping into power. It's about the inner work, about the perception, moving that perception of yourself from how people think about you to how you think about yourself. How do you think about yourself? And then again, it comes from, again, we think about different ways we can rewrite our stories, from saying, what is wrong with me, to saying, I am learning. Or why does this keep happening to me, to saying, there is a lesson here for me to learn. No matter how it is more difficult to look at it in the latter way, but this is the pathway to abundance, to an abundance mindset. And what is a mindset other than a set of beliefs that we hold about ourselves and about the world? And beliefs are just patterns of thought. So they are habits, so to say. Yeah.
Nafisah, so every time I speak with you, I feel like I'm like a sponge. I want to absorb and internalize everything that you say. So much of it resonates with me, and I believe that it will resonate with the audience. I want to just acknowledge a couple of other people who have come on, and then I want to respond what you've said. So Steve Attard, who is one of my mentors, he came in to pop in to say hello and see you. And my cousin, she's not my biological cousin, but even more, she is my heart cousin. And we've grown up together, Jennifer Sinnott, and she is on too. It means so much to me that she's on. But back to what you were saying, I love that as a doctor, you realized that there are physical manifestations. That was actually one of my questions for you, that things that happen to us emotionally, and they can be things that have happened many, many years ago, but if we are not processing these things and acknowledging them, then they can come up in ways, physical manifestation. And I do believe that that is part of what happened in my story with my health journey. So to just understand that part of a big piece of the puzzle of health is your emotional health and well-being. And that if as a doctor, for you to see that people are coming to me and they just want, they're hurting and they want to be acknowledged, and they want things that have happened to them to be acknowledged and to be listened to, that is part of health and a big piece that's missing. So it's wonderful that that's something that you're doing. And I also love that you talk about there are so many people out there that they're thinking they have these self-doubting beliefs, these internal beliefs, like you said, a mindset is a set of
and
beliefs.
it makes them to be too hard on themselves. And when I say them here, is because I believe I have moved out of it. I was there before, I used to be too hard on myself. What is wrong with you? And yeah, we're going to get there anyway about how we can navigate this. Yeah.
Yes, because those are the thoughts. So when people think in their minds, why am I not enough? Why does this keep happening to me? Why am I attracting these people in my life? We want to change even the language. We want to change the language for ourselves. And I know you've taught me a great deal about changing the language, our inner monologue with ourselves. So tell us, I mean, I know that this is such a journey for you, but do you feel comfortable sharing from your own personal journey through trauma, if you can share how you've emerged and how you've come out on the other side and now can help people to do that? And I want you to feel as comfortable as you can sharing, but I think that it helps. It really is helpful to people when we're able to be vulnerable and share of ourselves. So if you can talk about that journey a little bit.
Of course, yes. I love that you said a little bit, because of course it's a long story.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard sharing that piece of ourselves.
Exactly. And what I know for sure is that I have avoided my story. Not I have avoided it per se. It's more of not coming out looking like the victim, or like I'm blaming other people, but saying that, okay, someone can stab you with a knife, for example, or they can hurt you, but It's left for you to either lay down there on the floor and be crying, or pick up yourself and ask for help, right? So it is that kind of perspective that I come with. So whatever I see here is about me. It's about me taking responsibility for my life. It's about taking action, because I'm all about healing. And the more you heal, I want to say this, the more you heal as a person, you're also healing other people indirectly, not only your offspring, but other people around you. Yeah, so my story is that I was in this marriage that drained me. I felt like I wasn't growing. And, when it comes to society and a lot of what I said about perception, about how we see something, we value more of what people think about us than how we think about ourselves. So it was more the should I say the advices that I got during that period were more pushing me towards staying there just to save face, perhaps, because maybe to the whole world you look perfect and all of that. But you know what you're going through deep down inside. And it was my choice to say that, you know what, now it's time to work on myself. And I remember just around that period, my mother died. That's my birth mother. I grew up with my stepmom, which I don't like calling her my stepmom because honestly, she raised me. Yeah, so my mother died, and a light bulb went off in my head, like, what are you still doing here? The person you've been running away from making the same mistake she did, or what you heard, the mistakes she made, you're on that track, and you've been avoiding divorce all your life. You've been, because that was what she didn't stay with my dad. Yeah, so the story is a bit rough here, but I'm just trying to make something out of it. Yeah, so the light bulb went off, and yeah, I started to see how much I needed to do the work on myself, because I had lived all of that married life, including the relationships before that, trying to make everything perfect. I wanted everything to be perfect. Am I good enough for you? Or, is this good enough? Are you sure I'm doing well? Those kind of questions came up. And then came the time I became numb. And this is what happens with perfectionism, is that it leads to numbness. The exhaustion comes with a lot of numbness. You don't just feel anything, right? So after leaving that environment, I saw that I had a lot of work to do on myself. That included looking back at my childhood. And that was where the journey to imperfection came in, knowing that I had to put myself first. My daughter needed to see what self-care meant, and what it meant to put myself first, as a woman, as a mother, and not having to be the sacrificial lamb. Because a lot of women, especially when we become mothers, we kind of, I could see when looking back, I even did it this morning. I could see that I was losing myself, that part of me, and I needed to save myself. I needed to come back to myself. Yeah, so coming out of that relationship meant a lot of healing for me, and it went beyond the marriage as well. So one thing for sure is I don't blame my ex-husband. I don't. Not that he doesn't have a share, but I have taken my share and contribution for everything that happened, because I want to take responsibility for my life. I want to move forward, and I want to succeed. This is it. I want to become empowered, and this is the journey that I'm on. Yeah, so the journey has required a lot of emotional healing, as I said, because most of the time we don't see that emotional aspect of the healing. We look at sometimes mental health. Actually, mental health is still progressing in the world at large, the awareness, but then we mostly are aware of the physical health. And what we don't understand is that all of these aspects make up who we are. And the emotional aspect of who we are is so paramount. But then, because it takes sometimes hitting rock bottom to realize the importance of this portion of what makes us, right? So it requires a lot of inner child healing, the subconscious, all of those memories that we have internalized. So it's not really about what happened in childhood, but how did we internalize them? How did they register in our brain? right? So that healing requires that you do a lot of emotional release. Yeah. Yeah, I hope this made sense though. I try to jump here and there, but also to have a direction to the story.
It absolutely does make sense. And Nafisa, I just want to thank you for sharing your own personal story, because that is that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to do. But I do believe that it's through our own healing that we're able to impact others, as what you said, to impact others in their healing. And that's absolutely what you did. You went through the healing process yourself. So you've created tools, you've utilized tools, you've made yourself aware of what are the processes, what are the things that need to be done. I love that you talk about the journey to imperfection, because I think that that is something that's something that finally perfectionism I threw out the window. And it was only after going through a health journey and going through that while my daughter was so young, that was, I had to throw perfectionism out the window. It doesn't belong. That's that vision. So I love that you talk about that, and talking about healing the inner child, because you're right, it's not necessarily about what exactly happened in your childhood, but how did you internalize that? How did that become part of what your makeup is, or how you view the world? So can you share a little bit about, if someone was to come to you, and they're now an adult, and they've had, they have some patterns in relationships and things like that, and they say to you, Nafisa, I've been following these patterns. What's one of the first things that you would really do if you were going to explore healing the inner child? Can you talk us through some of those processes, or how
Okay.
you would go about doing it?
All right. So when we think about the inner child, the reason it's called that, in a very basic term, is that child that, that little Nafisa, for example, that is inside craving for healing, but it's there. And sometimes because we're not able to, it doesn't trust us right now. Rather, it doesn't, when you start the healing, right now, I believe my inner Nafisa trusts me, right? She feels safe. And every now and then she gets sensitive and triggered and all of that. It happens. It's a healing journey, right? But at the beginning, we're not able to access it because it's hiding deep down inside. And that's where that feeling of emptiness can come in, like there is something wrong somewhere. You feel empty, not enough, and all of those feeling of emptiness that come up, and not feeling enough. Okay, so when we start with the inner child work, I would say that the first step will be to commend the person for even coming to ask for help. I think that's the first step, because remember, we're talking about the inner child. So if I were talking to a client at first, I'm not talking to that adult person, I'm talking to the child. So it would usually sound like this. This is how I will talk. Like, what happened? What is it? What's the problem? Because that inner child is not trusting. So at first, because of that perfectionism, we come looking as perfect, as smiling. Most of the people that are hurting deep down inside are the nicest of people, They're smiling, but deep down inside they're hurt. So at first they come, oh, how are you? I'm fine. It's always, I'm fine. I'm okay. It's okay. But then when you dig a little bit, so yes, it's providing that environment that is trusting, first of all, to allow that part to come up. So yes, acknowledging the person and commending them for even coming up to say, okay, I need help. That is commendable. Then secondly, acknowledging that they are hurting and not dismissing it. So no bypassing anymore, because I believe that at this point, this person has gone through a lot of bypassing from people. Like maybe you're being too sensitive, you're saying things, or, so there's a lot of bypassing that goes on that makes that inner child hide even more. So the second thing will be to ask for the intention. What do you want? What do you picture for yourself? And most of the answers will be inner peace and happiness, and that feeling of fulfillment, because it's easy for us to go out and get a job and be happy and get money. But does it make you happy? This is the question. So a lot of time, because of trauma responses, we find ourselves being busy, getting money, being in the midst of people. And this is why, if you think about it, the COVID period brought a lot of depression to the surface. That's because we were left with ourselves. So how do you feel when you are with yourself? The second question will be what the person's intentions are. And then we start to walk towards them. And because it's life coaching, which I love, and I didn't even get there to my introduction, was that the reason I came about life coaching was after doing medicine, and I came about preventive medicine and public health. I was like, okay, it's all about prevention. Let me go in there. I went for my master's. And then what I saw was that, well, you could do all of the research, and this is by no means diminishing the work of medical doctors, which I may practice later, or public health experts. No, but you can't push anybody to change. So this is the one thing I love about life coaching is that it's unpredictable where you go from there. We have an end goal. We have a point A where you are, a point B, happiness, a sense of inner peace and fulfillment and self-acceptance. How we get there, we have no idea. It can come with releasing emotions and not understanding what those emotions are. And then maybe the person says, okay, I'm not ready for this. And that inner child hides back because it's not easy. It's not an easy job, but then it's worth it. So yes, how to get to that point B, I don't have an answer to that, but yes, I can give some suggestions today.
Nafisah, that's wonderful. Just everything that you talked about. Thank you for explaining some of the processes. And I love that you even touched upon that our inner child is maybe not trusting of us, but to just acknowledge that when a person does come to you, to acknowledge that and commend them for thank you for coming, for asking for help, for looking for another way. That is a very big deal, to be able to ask for help, to acknowledge that I need help. I need help at this point. And some of the other things that you brought about this time of COVID, I agree. And I believe that a lot of people will agree. And I'm going, oh, actually, I have to tell you, Nafisah, Jonathan Chafani is watching. So I just wanted to say a quick hello to him. And I don't want to really take us off topic, but since Jonathan Chafani is on, and I'm so excited, let's touch upon, well, I'll explain to the audience who Jonathan is. And would you be able to talk a little bit about the collaborative project that you may be working on? Jonathan Chafani is actually viewing from Lebanon, and he's wonderful. The three of us have all met. He is a body language master and micro expressions trainer. And basically what he does is he enables people to develop skills to help in communication and in deepening relationships. So he basically can do, if I can say this, human lie detection, but there's so many applications for this. And because Nafisah is working with a lot of women who have gone through trauma, who have gone through abuse, who have had difficulties in their romantic relationships, one of the applications that we were talking about, and this is something Nafisah can touch upon, is for Jonathan to teach these women the skills so that they understand some of the red flags that you will see when someone is being deceptive or is not telling you the truth, or somebody is not a kind-hearted individual. So Nafisah, can you talk about I know that the project isn't complete, but that's something that you're both talking about. I spoke too much, but
No, you didn't. I loved it because the thing is, I got to connect with Jonathan, and it was just beautiful hearing about his work. He also does public speaking. He's on TV in Lebanon, and he has all of these big personalities coming on TV, and he gets to detect them when they lie. And I'm wondering, can I ever lie when I'm in front of him? I don't know. I can get away with it. Yeah, so it's an amazing prospect, what he's onto. It's beautiful because, what I think about right now is instincts. Because when it comes to trauma and all of this piled up emotions, conditioning, fear, limiting beliefs, we tend to be unaware of our instincts, our intuition. And I believe that what he does is that he helps you to be in touch with that intuition and trust it. And what better way to go about anything in life, especially decision making, than when it comes to understanding, expression, and lie detection, and yeah, and also the aspects of communication that it comes with.
I think to see what the two of you are going to create together, I am so excited, and I know the both of you will keep us posted, and we will have both of you on together when that comes into fruition. But I think the work is so important, and I think one of the applications we also talked about is being able, so women who have gone through trauma, of course men who have gone through trauma too, but I think as parents, we want to be able to educate our children so that they don't make the same kinds of mistakes that we made. So being able to educate people about when someone is being genuine and telling the truth versus when they're not, when their intention, maybe they have malintention, but being able to learn it ourselves and then transmit this to our children, that is something that I think is quite powerful. So I would love for the two of you to do that. And Jonathan, we're so happy that you stopped in. I would love to bring you on camera. I can't
wait to connect with him.
But yes, I know. And I would love to bring you on camera. I am just not savvy with this. I can't figure out how to do it, but we know that you're watching, and thank you again so much. Nafisah, so something else that I would like to ask you, I know that you recently launched a course. So not only do you do private sessions with people anywhere in the world, which I think is amazing, but you've launched a course. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, thank you so much for that. Honestly, I love this online program because it covers a lot. And the thing is, I had the picture in mind for someone who would want coaching, who knows, maybe they need help, but then maybe either don't have the time, number one, or maybe they just cannot afford coaching at that time. And this is why I created this online program, because it's there for a lifetime, and especially with busy moms. So I can imagine that, a lot of women, we are mothers, right? So we don't have time on our hands. Yeah, so it's about, the topic is step into your power. And the root of all of that is healthy boundaries. But I start from understanding, healing the inner child, and going to understanding our values, because values are paramount when it comes to setting boundaries and self-awareness. So we talk about the self-awareness cycle, then we move to the steps to setting healthy boundaries, and then we move to visualizing your ideal life or your life of success. So I just love how it progresses from that, inner healing to what you visualize for the future. So it covers everything from where we are now and then what we picture for ourselves.
Nafisah, that's wonderful. And I think something about healthy boundaries, I think that sometimes there's a misconception about what are healthy boundaries, and even people have a misconception of even about saying no, which is part of creating healthy boundaries. So can you talk about that a little bit? Like, for example, there are some people that we know that are in our life, and we love them. They could be family members, they could be friends, but they sometimes are like, I don't know how to describe this, but almost like vampires, and suck our energy from us. And so you've we have to, sometimes we need that boundary. We need to have that balance, and we can't always spend so much time with someone that may be draining us emotionally. So can you talk about that, and how do we balance that? Is that, and I think that's a big piece of what's in your course. So that's
Yes,
addressed, and
yes,
I think everyone needs to know about that. But just a
yeah.
couple of practical suggestions, possibly.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lisa. When we talked about the inner child healing first, it's about understanding, going from that place, as I said, of not feeling enough to this place where, along the line, you're like, okay, I am enough. And then you don't fully believe it. But the more you do the inner child healing, do all of those emotional release and build up your mental resilience, then you move to that place of feeling that, yes, I am enough. I'm going to go through some dips, but then I'll come back up again. Failure will be more of a feedback than something that will put you down, right? So I just want to mention self-compassion here and how we can apply it, all around to whatever we do. The more we apply self-compassion to ourselves, then we're able to build that mental resilience, and that healing becomes easier, right? And it helps us to, the more we heal, we see the need to set healthy boundaries. So healthy boundaries come as a result of healing, or during healing, as a process, right? And self-compassion, we have three components according to psychology. We have self-kindness, common humanity, and then we have mindfulness. So self-kindness is the biggest portion. That whatever you do, if you make a mistake, for example, you can speak to that inner child that would, because the inner child may have been used to hearing what is wrong with you, why did you do that, blah blah blah, and then you come to say, you know what, you're safe. You made a mistake, and that's fine. Mistakes happen. Life happens, and then you're able to move on with that. That is self-kindness, really, and it's mixed up with mindfulness if we think about it, because we are bringing ourselves back to the present to understand what is happening and then what we can do from there. And the mindfulness will involve all of these exercises, which I'm not going to mention now, but a big part of it is that deep breathing, coming back to our breath. Sometimes we're sitting down and we don't even know how much breath we're holding due to tension and anxiety. So it's also coming back to our breath, taking those 3 deep breaths every now and then, and calming down, feeling safe with ourselves. Then common humanity is something that the more you practice self-compassion, you start to see similar experiences in the society with people. And then you see that you're not alone. It's just like when I share my story, when you shared your story, we just know that we're not alone. Whatever we're going through in our separate lives, we know that somewhere in the world, someone is facing the same thing or has gone through a similar experience. And it helps us to know that, this is a shared experience. So that one is important. But the most crucial one is that self-kindness that we should apply to ourselves. So compassion comes in 2 ways. One way is soothing yourself, right? And telling yourself that it's okay. And the other way is that you have to act out and speak up and communicate your needs, such as when you are communicating your boundaries, or when you are saying no. It's part of showing yourself compassion. So this is why it's important that we apply compassion to our lives, especially during our healing processes. Because the more you are compassionate with yourself, you can be like, okay, that was too much on me. Nafisah, it was too much on you. So you're not going to take that next time, or you have to speak up and tell the person, I cannot do it again. That is so showing yourself compassion. It shows that you are valuing yourself, you're seeing yourself as worthy of love and everything beautiful. And then you're increasing that sense of esteem and sense of self. Yeah. So I would say that if anything that we should live with today is self-compassion.
That's very powerful. And I love how you bring the reflection piece into self-compassion, because it's okay if we make a mistake and we say yes when maybe it would have served us best to say no. But it's the knowing, okay, I made a mistake. That's okay. I'm not going to let this happen again. And so you're reflecting on it. And this is the way, this is how we change our emotional responses. It's how we change our habits. It's all of that. It's that mindfulness, and you're wrapping it into the self-compassion. So I do believe that that's an important, a really important piece.
Yeah.
And so I know that we will wrap it up soon, because Nafisah, I could just speak to you for so long. I know that we've laughed about this, but I would like you to maybe two more questions. Who are some people that would be great people to connect with you, people that you love to help, that you love to empower? So can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, I know we talked about women who have gone through traumas, but I know there are many people that you help and reach out to.
Thank you. So I connect, or can I say I usually work, and when I say ideally here, of course, we can think outside of that gap between women or even men. The thing is, I love to work with men, and there is this need, and I know there's an awareness going on, especially for when it comes to emotional vulnerability for men. I would love to work with men, and I would love to see more men doing the healing. It's not an easy thing, especially because we have genetic factors, we have environmental factors where men are told to hold their emotions, to man up, to be tough, and all of that. So it's not really easy for them coming up to ask for help. So when I say I work with women, I don't mean that it's tied to that gender. No, it could be a man as well. Yeah, it's just I think the condition will just have to be that they are ready to do the work, and this is what matters. And as I said, this is what I love about life coaching. I wouldn't go to anybody's inbox to ask them if they need to work with me, or if they have to work with me, or if they need help. Yeah, so once they come to me, of course, we'll see if we connect and have a rapport. So it will be anybody who knows that they need help with their healing process. They have maybe seen some parts of them that need healing. It's unique to every one of us. But one thing I know for sure is that most of them come feeling numb, or they feel that they can't speak up, or they talk and they are not being heard, and they feel victimized and taken advantage of. This is how I will describe the person who comes to me for help. So by the feeling of being taken advantage of, they feel that that anger, the resentment that it comes with the inability to say no, or giving too much of their time, energy, and money. Yeah.
Thank you, Nafisah. And I love that you opened up the invitation for men to come to you, because it's just that the women tend to come to you and the men are not. And I think that really says a lot about how could things change if men were coming to you and doing the healing, and if it was even acceptable for them to show their emotional vulnerabilities. And I have to say, when I meet men that are able to share that, it's it's such a different relationship. And I have men in my life that are open. I mean, I am blessed to have men in my life that are open to share in that way, and may many more men come to you. How can people find you? We know they can find you on Facebook, and we know they can find you on LinkedIn as Nafisah NK. But I know you have a Facebook group that is a very special one. So if you can talk about that, and if you can give people maybe your website information, which I'll definitely type in. But if you can do that, that would be great, so people can find you.
Thank you. You can find me, yes, on Facebook, and my email address is Nafisah NK. Just add a 001 at the front of it, and at gmail.com. Nafisah NK 001 at gmail.com. Yes, you can reach me via email.
And remind everyone just the Facebook group again, what it's the name of your Facebook group.
The Facebook group is Breaking Free from Trauma. I do monitor it to make sure everyone feels safe there. So if you feel that you need to join, just request entry and I will let you in.
Okay, perfect. So that's a private group, Breaking Free from Trauma.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'm hosting a webinar actually on Saturday and Sunday. Oh, I have my daughter in here. I'm hosting a webinar on Saturday and Sunday around 7 p.m. I think that's 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Well, yeah, we will get those specifics, and I will make sure that I post it along with the video. So Saturday and Sunday, that is absolutely perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Nafisah. And is your daughter there?
Yes, she is. Come and say hi. No?
Nafisah, okay. Do you want to say hi? Hi. We're so happy that you shared your mama with us. We love her. We love her.
You too. Love you too.
Oh, I love you. I'm giving you a big hug, a big squeeze. And what we can do is we are going to say thank you to everybody who has been watching with us. We so appreciate you. And please reach out to Nafisah. I will put all of that information and attach it to the video. Nafisah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. God bless you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
God bless you and Vinita. I'm so happy to see you both. Are there any parting words that you would like to leave us with?
Stay kind. Be kind with yourself. Yeah, and tell all of those beautiful words. Tell them to yourself. Speak to yourself like you were speaking to your own child. And when it's time to scold yourself as well, do it. That's what self-parenting is all about.
Self-parenting. That is a new word that I just learned.
Really? Then we should do another live. Yeah.
We will do another live. Okay. Thank you. Many blessings to everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Vinita.